I like
Gotcha.
that.
So we're here. Yeah. All right. So no. No,
I don't
yeah,
mind if you
I
call me
know.
Big Daddy.
No,
It
I
works
know.
for
Okay.
me.
Today, so what's the big deal with Big Daddy? All right, no. So we're here with Rainier Sebastian Leon, and Rainier has been a RESF lifer, right? How long have you been with RESF now?
I mean, well, I guess I'm a founder.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Considering I
You
introduced
are.
you and George,
I think
yeah.
that's a big heavy.
I came before RESF, so
That you were an instrumental piece, definitely. And that's why you're the who's who at RESF. So now that we're talking to the who's who, let's get into what's the big deal. So what are we talking about today? What's the big deal that we're going to be talking about today with Rainier?
Talk about my land deal.
Let's talk about let's stick to one deal at a time.
So
but a
RESF,
big one.
we set a record last year in Palm Beach for the largest transaction price per square foot, 35,000 square foot parcel on North Flagler Drive at 35 million, so a little bit over 1,000 a foot.
Nice.
As you termed it, we broke the bank on Flagler.
Oh, in West Palm Beach.
In West Palm Beach.
All right. The next one's in Miami downtown. All right. So
allegedly.
Yes.
Off market. Confidential.
Wait, so you're the big deal, and how did you get to this big deal?
Oh man, that's a very loaded question. So I mean, I've been in my entire career spans about 25 years. 18 of that was in corporate, and the balance of that is in real estate.
And you look like you're 30.
Oh
my God, Rainier, you were like almost in Pampers. I'm gonna take that vision out. I'm gonna take out that vision.
It's the glow for sure. So real estate, I began, I mean, I would say probably 20 years ago, I was doing it part-time in corporate, fell in love with it, started my own practice when it came to rehabs and flipping properties. Then when you guys began RESF, I got my license. That has evolved into commercial. I got my master's degree and then really started focusing mostly on development. That's where I'm at today. Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring you back to this big deal. So now tell us, like, so how did this deal stand out from others? Like, so this was in West Palm Beach. So take us to the deal.
So, I mean, this goes back every single deal I've ever worked on, I guess you could pretty much weave everything together, every experience, every lost deal, every no that I had from different developments kind of built me to be able to get this one done.
It's kind of like a relationship, right? Every no then gets you to the yes eventually. Huh?
Well, if I don't have a no, if I don't have a yes to the first no in my relationships privately, you know where that goes. No, but I mean, what I'm trying to say within commercial, every single experience, whether it's a loss or a win, you're always winning through the experiences that you get through your relationships, through your partnerships. The cumulative effect of all of that experience is what enabled me to really get this deal done, especially with the players that were involved, being Isaac Toledano and the related group.
Okay, and those are powerful hitters, powerful players. Yes.
I mean, they're top of their game in South Florida, and obviously the related group has a portfolio that expands outside of Florida.
Yes.
But on this particular deal, there's a lot of what I do is off market. So you're basically taking everything that you do when you list a property in residential, you do all the same marketing, but you're packaging it as a special invite. And it's a whisper offering for specific principles. Meaning I can't take a $35 million deal at over 1,000 a foot just to anyone, right? So there's a bit of a calculus that goes to that.
Yeah, they need to have a big account.
Very big account. Big account and that there are no BS. Right?
Yes.
So you can present them a deal, and then when they say yes, they're going to close that deal. And that's one of the big things with Isaac Toledano that I learned. He's one of the first, actually the only developer I've ever sat with that had a decision done in 2 weeks. And the reason for that is because of all the preparation that I had from all those deals I was mentioning. All those no's I got, I started learning how to package these deals with leaving out all the fluff, but really focusing on what is needed for them to make a decision right on the spot. Within underwriting, as far as the development goes, zoning, how high can we go? How many units can I build? What kind of upside is there as far as the condo sales go? Palm Beach had a very anomalous market where we were already reaching 3,000 to 4,000 a foot for condo sales. As of that closing at Bristol, they were already closing 4,000 a foot. So that market was very unique, and it has also the Trump effect. So you had a lot of wealth migration coming into there. So it was really the perfect storm of so many different things.
And with so much competition, I mean, how were you able to get your hands on something first?
Relationships. So we had a very difficult owner who's had a thriving practice there.
Difficult owner? No.
You haven't met the breed in Palm Beach. That's beyond. That's beyond difficult.
Next level.
There's a lot of generational wealth there. So for them, they don't care if their number is completely insane. If somebody wants that property and can really make that number work, that's where they're going to sit down at a table like this and
so this particular big deal, was it just for anybody? I mean, did it have a line of buyers or was it where? Okay, how was that?
I had a list of buyers. And so when I started looking at the site probably 2 years prior, I have a partner in Palm Beach that when I actually transplanted myself there about 10 years ago, learned the market, made relationships, lived there for about 3 years. There's a very different culture on the island than there is on North Flagler Drive. However, North Flagler Drive became the delta between the two. And so then you're starting to see all these high rises building on North Flagler because you have unobstructed views of the water. That's where the money comes in. So you're selling at $3,000 to $4,000 a foot because you have unobstructed.
So location.
1,000%. Want that and the lack of inventory. And so then you had zoning changes. So all these things mixed together. There's a very short list of developers that can afford it. And so with Isaac, the choice came into play there because 2 blocks down, he was building the Ritz.
Like it, as in the Ritz-Carlton?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it just, like I said, throughout all of the challenges, the ups and downs, the no's, then trying to figure out, okay, well, where can I find the value add to make this make sense for Isaac? And that's when the zoning changed, where now we can go up to 350 feet vertical. We can build probably, I think it was 600,000 square feet total on the building. I can't go into details as to what he's building, but let's just say that the numbers are going to work, or it's not going to be all of that. It's going to be a boutique type, very ultra luxe development.
Nice.
That's going there. Right?
I'm excited.
Yeah. I would be excited too if I can have one of the units for free.
Listen, no. Are you kidding?
Like, take my commission and give me a unit. He goes,
forget about for free. You just want to be in tier 1 here, right? That's where you want to be, in tier 1. So stay tuned for tier 1. I hope, right? I mean,
we're at tier 3 now.
Oh,
they're about 40% sold on the Ritz residences down the street. And so here it's very select, like what they're doing at Apogee.
Yes.
Not Apogee. I'm sorry, on Fisher Island. On Fisher Island, it's very select, who they're marketing that to. The same way they had a very select list of who I marketed that site to. That's what they want. They want to have that demographic of that top tier within this boutique building to further build the brand that they're trying to build as far as their partnership goes.
How far is the Bright Line away from there?
It's quite a bit. It's not around the corner. Yeah, I'll take you one day.
So, you know what, Rainier? Thinking back, what was the biggest lesson learned, I guess, from this big deal? Think back, like lesson learned.
Man, I would say the biggest lesson is how important your reputation is to do everything that you do with integrity. Meaning if I have developers telling me or a broker telling me, hey, take out this, don't put that expense, you may win that one deal, but your reputation is tanked. I've gotten to where I've gotten because I have the trust of these developers, where they're coming to me, where I'm not with the Cushman Wakefield or Colliers. I'm with us. I'm with RESF.
No, you're with RESF.
Because we're going to be building this brand.
Yes.
And so as we start the genesis of this process of building this CRE division, it has to be built on a foundation of pure integrity. Those are the kind of players that we want. And those are the kind of players that we deal with. Aside from that, the biggest, I guess I would say, the biggest lesson I've learned throughout my career is that even when you're losing anything, you think that a loss or a failure is a loss. When you sit back now and you have this big achievement, this big milestone, you realize you couldn't have gotten here without each of those individual losses. Learning that all is really part of the big picture and that there's still more to learn. I can't tell you how you'll always be inspired to find the next big deal.
Oh my God, I love that. That sounds like music. I mean, and I was just listening to Napoleon. It feels like the law of success.
Yes.
This morning.
Napoleon.
Yeah, no, and my son was like, oh my God, Mom, really? But it talks about, failure and definitely how it prepares you for the next steps and it, to success. So I guess like if you can go back and give yourself that one piece of advice, before starting the deal, what would that be? Because I know that's happened to me. Is like, oh my God, if I would have just done like this one thing before I started, what would?
You know what's an interesting question. I would say, you know what? I have the answer to this. One of the biggest hurdles I had when I was presenting these projects to developers is I always had to count on somebody on their team to do the financials, meaning to underwrite it. What's the construction cost? What's the pro forma we can get? What are the local factors? Or what are the demographics? How much can we sell? How much can we rent? I had decided, and ironically, I used this project in my last my thesis for my master's program.
Oh, master's. Not everybody just has a master's.
When you get to a certain point in your career, I'm 47, right? So I've been doing this for a long time. You get to a certain point where you can't lean on anybody else. You have to know everything. I'm not saying I'm a complete financial underwriter. I could do everything end to end, but I have enough knowledge to understand how to monetize the zoning and how to present it to my client, whoever that may be, because the calculus for one client is not going to be the same as for another. For example, Isaac and George Perez, their economies of scale on building are completely different than a Canadian developer or a developer just starting out. They won't be able to make that number work, but this group can. So it's on me to be able to figure that out. Once I got my master's degree, we had this property under contract because using my skill set learned from masters and from CCIM, I was able to package it in a way that it was a done deal. He decided in 2 weeks. We had a full cash offer, 35 million, no contingencies.
Wait, no contingencies?
No contingencies.
35 million?
I was on a call with this guy. Go, wait, what? Yeah, that's another lesson I learned.
Did that give you a heart attack? Because the no contingency part already there.
What it gave me was something we can't talk about here. It's not.
Okay,
it's
okay,
X-ray.
okay. That makes a lot of sense.
I was,
or dollars.
Yeah.
Don't holler there. Okay, yeah. I get it.
You get it? Good.
Well, let me ask. Thank you for sharing the big deal with us here today. But now I'm just curious, what's next for you? What's your next big deal?
Stay tuned.
Ooh, stay tuned. You heard that straight here. The big deal. Thank you, Rainier.
Thank you, dear.